That was like a rant. This book just...
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi. So today I'm going to be doing the best and worst books that I've read in 2022. I'm going to start with the bad stuff first, and that way we can end on a high note. So if that sounds good, then keep on watching. I would like to preface this video by saying that don't take offense if there are any books that I talk about that I don't like, and I will not take offense if there are any books that I absolutely love and adore that you don't like. It's all subjective. There's no right or wrong. You're allowed to like whatever you like, and that's fine. That's the great thing about books, is that there's so many to choose from. We don't all have to like the same one. There's only 2 books that I read this year that I just felt like were... The first one is a book that I actually just recently read, and I don't even think I've done, it's not even part of any monthly wrap-up that I've done because I just read it, I think I read it this month in December. So I'll be doing sort of a monthly wrap-up on it next month, it'll be included in the monthly wrap-up, and that is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa, what is the last name, Moshfegh or something, I'm not sure how you say the last name. But this book right here, gave it 2 stars, was not a fan. Here's the thing, this book was basically about nothing. That's why I don't understand, nothing happens in this book. Some books are plot driven, some books are character driven. So this story basically follows, I don't even know what the girl's name is. Does she have a name? She lives in New York. I think her parents both died, so she inherited a bunch of money. She's rich. She lives in the Upper East Side. She's still very unhappy. And basically the book it's her documenting what she does every day, which is nothing. She has this idea, basically she's a caterpillar, she's going to cocoon herself for a year and then come out being a beautiful butterfly, which makes no sense. First of all, even though I haven't put any work in, I'm just gonna drug myself, sleep for a year, and then somehow magically I'll be better. And what really made me mad about this book wasn't even the fact that that was her concept, or that's what she thought or whatever. What bothered me the most about this book is that it worked. And I'm just confused because what is the messaging here? What is the takeaway? That if I'm depressed and I want to reset, I should just find a doctor who's going to prescribe me a bunch of medications that I don't need so I can self-medicate, knock myself out for a year, and then suddenly somehow magically I will be better? Is that what we're teaching people? Because that's what I got from this book. And maybe there's some kind of deep literary stuff that I just didn't get. But yeah, this went over my head if that's what this was supposed to be. Didn't get it. Didn't like the message. The second book that I gave 2 stars to this year, if you've watched my videos, you probably already know, is We Were Liars. With We Were Liars, you already know, didn't care for this book. And here's the thing. I think what I've realized is that it's not so much that I didn't like the book. I mean, I didn't. I don't think that this book should have been as hyped up as it was. The book itself, if I was a teenager or something, then maybe I would have really liked it. But as an adult reading it, I didn't like it at all because literally by page, I don't know, 70, I had completely figured out what was going to happen in the story. Completely figured out the whole plot, the whole ending by page 70. And to me, I don't mind if a mystery is a little bit predictable or if I guess it right, but I don't want to be confident by page 70 of everything that's going to happen for the rest of the story. If I was a young adult, a teenager, whatever, then maybe I wouldn't have figured it out and I probably would have really liked this story. So I will give you that, but I don't understand why so many adults were hyping this book up. Moving on to the books that were actually good that I read, my highest rated books, I'm going to go in order, starting with, I'm going to end with the highest rated book that I read this year. So we're going to start with Shatterby by Tahiri Mafi. This is the first book in the Shatterby series. I've talked about this before in, I forget which reading wrap up, maybe September. But I really enjoyed this story. I gave this book 5 stars. Not much to say beyond what I've said in other videos, but this was one of the books that I did give 5 stars. I thought it was very fast paced. It was very interesting. There was a lot of really quotable moments, especially in the beginning portion of the book. There were a lot of things that I remember highlighting or underlining or whatever, because they were just really not profound, but it was just I like that kind of moments. So gave this 5 stars. The next book is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham, and this book was one of the books that I read. I think it was the first book that we read for my book club. So this was a great pick to start the book club off on. This book follows Chloe, who is the daughter of a convicted serial killer. She's kind of like an unreliable narrator. Really great story. Again, I talked about this book as I've talked about all these books in my reading wrap-ups, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. But I really like the ending. Again, wasn't a book that was like completely plot twist, didn't see it coming. I think that the ending was slightly predictable, but it was still done well. The little plot twist before the plot twist, it wasn't really necessary, but it was still, like, I still liked it. Like, you could have taken it out and it wouldn't have really changed the ending much, but it was still, like, it was still good. Like, period. Like, it was still good. That is another book, if you're into, like, murder mysteries and stuff like that, suspense, thriller type of books, that is a book that I would definitely recommend. Because, like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't even expecting to enjoy it, because I had heard very mixed reviews about the book, so I was kind of expecting that it would just be like okay, like I figured I'd maybe give it like 3 or 4 stars. So the fact that I gave this book 5 stars, like, even I'm surprised that I rated this book as high as I did. So next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is the first book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. This book, I loved this book. This is a book that I will recommend to anybody. Like, the number of times that I have recommended this book to people, like, while I'm in Barnes & Noble, I'll see somebody, like, go up to this book and they'll, like, look at it and they're like, I'm like, you need to get that book. Like, Barnes & Noble needs to be giving me, like, commission checks for recommending this book and getting them sales for this book. I will tell anybody to read this book. It was really well written. I thought that Pippa, the main character, and a lot of the things that she, like, said or did were very relatable. I felt like there were a lot of moments where, like, I would think something, and then literally, like, in the next paragraph, she would say exactly what I was just thinking. So, yeah, definitely would highly recommend this book if you like mystery, like murder mystery, suspense, you know, thriller type of books. So highly, highly, highly recommend this series if you have not read it. The next book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this book really stuck with me. I really liked the plot twist at the end. Although I did predict it, it was still good, and I was also, like, really excited when I found out that, like, what I predicted did end up happening. Like, I was right. Like, that was, like, a really fun moment for me. But I think that a lot of people probably did not predict what was going to happen at the end. The overarching relationship, like the main love interest that she has throughout the book, I personally didn't really care for. I didn't like that character. I thought that character was, like, very, like, whiny and needy. My favorite stories, not necessarily my favorite husbands, my favorite stories was Don Adler, I think Rex North, and I think Harry Cameron. Those 3, if I'm saying the right names, if my memory serves. Those were the 3 that I really enjoyed reading about. It's a very interesting story. I really highly recommend. If you like literary fiction, historical fiction, this is a great book. This is a book that I recommend to basically anyone who will listen. It is, to no surprise, this next one. This is actually one of the few books that I've actually, like, heavily annotated. And that is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So this book was incredible. And I was not expecting this book to be as good as it was. I really only read it because I thought that she was going to, like, spill some, like, celebrity Hollywood tea about some of her co-stars and stuff like that, which she didn't do. But that was completely fine because the story was still really, like, interesting, really compelling, really eye-opening. Like, she was very vulnerable in this story, like, just really, like, opened herself up to people knowing so much about, like, what she went through. Even if your mom wasn't to the extent that hers was, I'm sure there are things that will happen in this book that, like, you can relate to. She also talks about more than just her mom. She talks about, you know, her being in Hollywood. She talks about her eating disorder. She talks about her other, like, relationships and things, and why, you know, some of the crazy stuff that happened in her relationship. It's also, like, humorous. I like the fact that she's able to talk about some very, like, dark or, you know, uncomfortable topics, but do it in a way that is lighthearted and kind of comical. Just, if you haven't read this book, you are doing yourself a disservice. Before I do the last book, which is the book that I rated the highest this year, like my favorite book of 2022, before I do that, I do want to do an honorable mention. I could go get the book off my shelf, but like I just don't feel like getting up. Actually no, I'll go get it. It is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I always say the title out of order. It's by Sangu Madana. This book I would give an honorable mention. It wasn't like this breathtaking, captivating genius, like it wasn't anything like crazy, but I just thought that this book was so stinking cute and it caught me by surprise. This was not a book that I had seen many people talk about. I don't think I had seen anybody talk about this book, honestly. I just was in Barnes & Noble and I was just like shopping, browsing, whatever, and I came across this and I saw it. Sounds interesting. I thought the cover was really cute, and I particularly noticed that the female character on the cover of the book looked like she was a brown girl, so that was also enticing and made me want to know what it was about and read it. I actually read this, I think earlier in the month, if I'm not mistaken, because I wanted to like end the month on a high note, so I was like, let me get this book out of the way. And then I actually ended up really liking it. Now this is not a 5-star for me. I think I gave this like maybe like 4 or 4.5 stars, I don't remember. I did want to include this in this video because I did really enjoy this book, and I feel like this book does not get enough, like people don't talk about this enough, and it was really good. And now for the final book in this video, the book that I rated the absolute highest of all the books that I've read this year. And I think I've said this before, so you may know what's coming, but if not, it is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This book was incredible. This book blew my mind. I don't know how the author like wrote this, because, and maybe I'm just not that smart, right? But I could not find any like plot holes or like anything where it's like, oh, well, this didn't make any sense, or oh, you know, whatever. This book was so well written, somehow like so well like thought out, like it was crazy. And there's so many like loops. And so if you don't know what the story is, basically this guy, I think his name is Aiden, he is reliving the same day over and over again, which if you watch my videos you already know that I'm obsessed with that. This has a little bit of a twist because he's living the same day over and over again, but each day he's living it as a different person. Like he wakes up in somebody else's body, so he gets to watch the events of the day unfold from different people's perspectives. It's like Clue on steroids almost. Like it's crazy. I don't know how this author, this is by Stuart Turton, I don't know if I said that already. I don't know how this author did this. I really don't. And I know that this author has like 1 or 2 other books that I have on my TBR. And after having read this, like I absolutely want to read more of this author's work, because I need to know, like, does this author just knock out banger after banger after banger, or did like he just get lucky with this? Like I just need to know. If you don't read anything else, like you have to read these 2 books. You have to read these 2 books. If you want to be like trendy and like part of like the in crowd and like TikTok, then like read these 2 books. Hello, future me here. I forgot to film an outro, so I apologize for this very abrupt cut to this clip of me looking like this and sounding like this. Literally the day after I filmed this video, I lost my voice completely, could not talk at all, and I'm still recovering, so it's a couple days later, still trying to fully recover, get my voice all the way back. But yeah, I needed to film this outro. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far into the video, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you know how to do. Let me know down below what your best and worst reads were for 2022. I'm very curious to know if you share any of the same worst or best books, or if there are any recommendations that you may have, if there are some books that you really enjoyed. All my socials and stuff, as always, will be down below in the description box. All the links will be down there, and I will see you guys in the next video, and hopefully I will not sound like this. Bye. Actually no, I'll go get it.